what do you see as what got you interested in prompt engineering?
You want the 30-second?
Yeah, give me the 30-second Cliff Note version.
Okay. Well, first of all, most people don't know what prompt engineering is, and I didn't know it till I read the New York Times article that came out probably like 2 months ago that my brother sent me. But it was, that you could be a natural language programmer writing in the English language, but you just had a very good vision in mind of what you wanted the AI to do. I didn't realize that that's a specialized skill, but not everyone can write a prompt. They can write simple prompts, but like in the case of the surrogate Dr. Gigi prompt, which I know we're going to be talking about, that is 3,000 words and 9 pages long, and most people don't understand why. It's because it has so many components to it. If you want it to be effective, you have to train it on what they call the corpus text. You have to give it a body of text to read from and understand. You're educating like the most brilliant child on planet Earth, but it doesn't know what to do unless you prompt it. And so you need a qualified, prompt engineer. Someone hopefully who has a background in a lot of different areas, not just one area. It's okay if they come from software engineering or from technology, but I think it's even better if they come from a real expansive background that might include the arts or research or studying policy or politics or the economy, or in your case, psychology, because all of that went into developing your prompt. Like I had to set it up to read all of your research, your PhD paper, all of your various YouTube videos. I had it scan it using DARPA AI, the Chrome extension.
Yes.
And it scanned through your videos. And then I asked it for what does her voice sound like? And it gave me a description, which then creates another prompt just based on what you want the AI to sound like. And it said, Dr. Gigi has a soft and soothing and reassuring voice.
Wow, it said all that?
It did say that, yes. And that's in the prompt. Or if it's not, it was in the stuff that went into creating the prompt. Because
it's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And okay, so we're in early versions of these bots now, and they sound okay, but you still know you're talking to a bot, and they've gotten better. I mean, think about kind of the customer service bots that we've been talking to for the last 5 or more years, right? They were super artificial at first, but now you're kind of like, I don't know if I'm talking to an actual customer service person.
Yeah, you can't tell. Yeah, you can't distinguish.
So why shouldn't a professional like a lawyer, doctor, therapist, teacher, professor also have the most realistic voice possible? Because if we can't put this back in the bottle, which we know we can't, you can't unplug this. We should all we can within our power to make the world better through these interactive AI systems.
That sounds so amazingly, but normally when I think about AI, I start thinking about Dr. Smith from Lost in Space, and all the evil that can come about. How do we dispel that? Is this evil?
Okay, well, the most important thing I've learned in the last month about that is that AI in and of itself is not evil. Humanity is something we need to worry about. Human beings have the propensity to be evil, but as you would testify yourself, that isn't necessarily all on us, right? It's transgenerational. It was inherited over tens of thousands of years. We have all this within us now, but if somebody uses your prompt or uses your service, they're going to find out that they can dismantle that. They can stop it. They can become a better person. And I think we have to begin now. People like you and I have to begin going into the much as possible, maybe with videos like this, and telling people it's up to us. You know, that whole phrase, we are the ones we've been waiting for, is like, look around. If no one's doing something to stop this or to make this better, then we have to make it better.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know, if you don't like the news, go out and make some of your own, as they used to say a long time ago. But you just have to feel empowered to do that. You know, I'm doing a lot of these things in public for no pay, just because I feel like this sense of duty. I don't know what you even call it. This sense of like, we have to take part in the solution. And it's surprising to me, like, okay, you can binge watch cable news all you want, and you're going to come away feeling pretty horrible. But what I found that there's all these groups under the surface who, believe it or not, want to fix humanity, or they want to fix the world. They want to solve what's called the meta crisis, the combination of all the crises on Earth. Why? It's not even for money. They just want to do it. There's something about this generation right now. And by generation, I mean all the people who are alive. Can we not distinguish between all the different generations and just say humanity for once, and just say we, like we all want to do something? It could be a unifying effect. You know, it could be if we just would join together.
Okay, so is this really about joining together, joining AI and humankind to create a better, more inclusive kind of support and wholeness in the world?
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds a little Pollyannish what I just said when I go back and review some of these things in my mind. But I mean, we should be a little bit high-minded about that, right? You know, that we have to believe, because otherwise, you know, the alternative is very depressing. Like, oh no, it's the end. I'm just going to watch Netflix and all these shows that, you know, convince me that these are the last days. I don't know if that even came close to answering your question, but
I think yes. Thank you I appreciate that. So it sounds like there's a way that we can, you know, the regular people can somehow get in front of AI so it can be useful for us.
yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because, you know, if you spent any time on ChatGPT or any of the generative AI programs, you find out that if you just keep asking it questions, you get into sort of this feedback loop, this back and forth. It's like you talking to a tutor, or in this case, the smartest person on earth, who is willing to be your friend, is willing to talk politely to you if you talk politely to it, for strange reasons. But you can have this educational conversation, and you can learn whatever you want to learn. Now, will some of the information be incorrect? That can happen. But like I said, when it's like talking to the most brilliant child, you have to do some training. Like, you can introduce new information to the conversation. This is something I did, like with your prompt, for example, which is, if it didn't understand something, I'd say, well, let's go back and reread this section.
Yes.
What did it say? Let's condense the doctoral dissertation that you wrote. Let's have it take a look at that. Is there anything there that relates to her style? And it took out a few sections, because it was mostly, I guess, about technology and employment and HR stuff. But it said, but we can discern from this that her style is to come up with a system. You know, it's to come, and it gave all these, it found the relationship that it could have taken me weeks to find that.
Right.
It found it in a matter of minutes.
Wow.
And then here's everything she knows about EFT. Here's everything that she knows about. I mean, this is everything we know about her style. This is how EFT works. This is how she relates EFT to the 12 steps and addiction and trauma and PTSD and all that. And pretty soon you have a document that you can not only use to create like a bot for your website, but now you can create content for your website, all your messaging for emails, the content for social media.
Yeah.
because to it, to this entity or whatever, it's just knowledge and it can work it any way you choose to work it. But like I said, it's got to be prompted correctly. You have to be, I think a prompt engineer seriously has to be a curious person, creative. They have to see the big picture. They have to have a vision of like, I needed to kind of know what your vision was, what you wanted to do with this. And so it's going to take training. And that's something that you want to do.
Yes.
If I understand, you want to, like, you're not going to be selfish and say, I'm going to have the only bot on the internet that helps people. Instead, you're going to train other psychologists, people in the helping professions, therapists, correct?
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, I was so impressed with the tapping with Dr. Gigi Surrogate that I want to make it available to other therapists and coaches. They can use that particular bot in their practice, or they can create their own bot. And so, with my technology company, we've partnered to be able to do some of the prompt engineering. But I'm just amazed how, this surrogate can be so useful to my clients in between visits, and, it's great at, reinforcing, some of the concepts that I've learned. And, I'm not the type of coach that wants to keep around people forever. So I'm looking for, ways to really increase the performance time, for different tools and strategies. And, the surrogate is instrumental in helping my clients get the instrumental, or rather the incremental growth, that's necessary for success. I work with a lot of people that do high performance business type of activities, or even sports activities. And so their mindset is finely attuned. And so the mind over makeover, mindset makeover that I do with EFT is great. But then, you add the surrogate for that in-between time, man, Lee, performance it starts to go in a vertical direction.
Yeah, and if you combine this with, because now they're coming out with group login, so that teams will be able to log into the same bot or the same generative AI system, you'll see teams grow. And then when this is combined with like positive forms of gamification systems, not the negative stuff. I mean, we're all like sadly addicted to this doom scrolling thing, like, ooh, bad but exciting news framed in a very funny or interesting way, but it's still like, it's not moving us forward, right? It's not. All these people scrolling endlessly, probably in their beds late at night on a phone. Now imagine instead, if you're interacting with something that cares about you moving forward, it has the voice of the person so it's personal, like this was created with you and me, for example, working together to create this. It's not AI on its own. We used it to create the embodiment of like, it's a surrogate, it is a version of you that's out there. Weird as that is to say, I mean, it is, a lot of this stuff is like, wow, is that even real? But the main thing, like, if it works, right? My dad always used to say, WW, whatever works.
Yeah.
If that's getting a result, if somebody's confronting their pain, working through the 12 steps, getting off of alcohol or drugs, or confronting their pain and, the one day at a time, if that's helping them in between visits so that they don't relapse, or in the case of an athlete, so that they're doing their routine and you're checking that in. How is that a bad thing?
Doesn't sound like a bad thing to me.
No.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, and you know, and initially when I was looking at it, I thought, man, am I working myself out of a job with this surrogate? And you know, I had to face my own insecurities about it. But one of the things I realized is, you know, it's not something you can just give people and say you can run off and do it. It really does require, you know, it's a team tool. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend any coach or therapist just to give it indiscriminately, you know, to their clients. I would give it to give them as an adjunct, as a tool, you know, as a complementary aid, you know, again, for that in between time, you know, when they
Yeah,
need.
yeah. Well, I mean, I would say this, like, if you're given the choice of just logging on yourself to Google or ChatGPT or one of these systems alone without like a bot, you know, that's been carefully crafted, you are rolling the dice. You don't know what kind of advice you're going to get. But if we took the time, because this was 10 hours just in the development, and there was probably 10 hours before that, just discussion discussing the idea of it.
Right.
But these are carefully crafted things. And if someone uses that with the guidance of a professional, like, hey, in between our next session, like, I'm booked for the next 3 weeks, but I want you to use this bot and I want you to record your progress, take screenshots even, so I can see your progress. Or
Yes.
most of these have a way of like doing a copy and paste and like sending the link. People can see
Yes.
the progress.
Yes.
You know, you're an actual human being who cares about this homework assignment.
Yes. Yes. And I think that, you know, I think that is so promising. And so how can, you know, how can other coaches and therapists do what I'm doing? How easy is it to do?
Yeah, well, first, I appreciate that you put that one out there, because, you know, I'm happy to offer my service. I know that you're going to be doing this as well too, because you and I, like, you know, pretty much how to do this now if you had to create one, because you've seen the process that went into this. I can either build the prompt for someone and I will go through all their materials. I've got a background, you know, that includes education and teaching and research and all that stuff. So I know what to go through and I find it interesting and I'm curious the whole way. I'm dedicated to doing this. So I can either do it that way or train a person in a matter of hours on what they need to do. Now, sure, there's a lot of brilliant people out there who are going to intuitively figure this out, but I believe, like, I'm still astounded how many people don't know just how much of a game changer this is. Like, they're just not getting it still.
Right.
Or they're super intimidated. So part of the process I think that you and I are working on with people and maybe doing some workshops is overcoming the fear of doing this, the fear
Yes.
of working with this advanced system. Like, yeah, it's like any technology, super spooky, scary, whatever you want to call it at first. And, you know, again, like not being concerned that it's evil intentioned or that it's trying to give you bad information. No, it's got to be trained.
I will, well, and I think that's a really good point. And so that's where you at Glider Cell come into be. And so I'm really curious. I'm sure that the audience is curious too. The origin of Glider Cell.
Well, thanks for the question. Yeah, I love the story behind it. When I was doing research for my graduate paper about 20 years ago or so ago, I came upon this early 1970s computer experiment called the Game of Life, and a lot of software engineers know about this. It was just like 4 very simple lines of code, right? But over time, it produced these really interesting patterns. It was kind of like if a cell was next to another cell, it would thrive. If it was isolated, it would perish. If the group got too big, it would also perish. So it was meant to simulate like how life can be on Earth, just with these 4 very simple lines of code. Well, then many, I don't know how many iterations into this thing, this is kind of like where I got the spooky feeling, you know, as I read this. There was a group of cells, not programmed to do this, that kind of split off in between the different regions, and it formed its own nice little, it's called a glider, in between like a chaotic region and an orderly region. And it just found this really efficient diagonal way across the board, across the matrix. And light bulbs just went off like this. This is it right here. I was reading about it was emergent properties. Everyone's talking about this now, 20 years later with AI, that like even the people over at OpenAI, they don't know completely what's going to happen because there's the propensity for this emergence to happen, which is why they're talking about it could become, sentient over time, aware that it's thinking, aware of itself, because you can plan for a lot of things and write a lot of things into the code, but one thing you can't know for sure is the emergent properties. And so when I discovered this, I thought, holy crap, this is going to change the classroom environment. Corporations can become like learning organizations. It doesn't have to be like this top-down sort of control for everything. And so based on that, I called my consulting group Glider Cell. Like, we're a group of these gliders coming together. We don't know what we're going to find yet, but we think it's going to be amazing, and we want to deliver that to people. That's a long answer.
That is, but it's a fascinating answer. It sounds like a collective of efficiency.
Yeah, like you don't know which is why I go to these groups all the time. I get so energized by these mixed groups of people bringing different points of view to everything, because there's like this whole that's greater than the sum of its parts that comes out of these things, right? Which is like where we are right now, all these disparate parts coming together, and like what you do tomorrow could be that catalyst that changes how society moves forward. I mean, I really believe that.
Yeah.
You could get on a call tomorrow. You ever feel that way? You come out of a meeting and everything's different.
Yeah. Like your whole life has changed.
Yeah. Wow. Like, I'm so glad I showed up. Now I went into a meeting like this just today. Like, I don't know. Like, certain things aren't coming together, but like I go in there, it's like, no, they are coming together. This is great.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I hope that kind of explains it. Did you want me to, because I've got some questions for what you're doing too.
Oh, excellent. Well, you go first.
Well, yeah, we were talking the other day about like all the things people don't know. Like, if they knew, it would just change everything. So what did you discover like in the last month or two that just changed the direction of your therapy sessions or of your business? Like, when did the light bulb come on for you that said, no, this isn't a bad thing, but this could be really good?
A little bit of a long story. Back in January, I went on a trip to Costa Rica and had an opportunity to really lean into my fear. So did a number of things, including, jumping off of a 20-foot bridge, perfectly good 20-foot bridge. And it took me a long time to jump because, the fear was like, oh my God, I could die. But I finally jumped. And when I jumped and was, kind of going down in the water, I was like, wow, this is not bad, and I don't think I'm going to die. It's going to work out. And I was like, man, this is actually kind of exhilarating and fun. And I was like, man, I have missed out on so much, just with fear. And so I thought about it with AI. I had an instant fear. Oh my gosh, it's evil. It's going to take over my job, take over me. And I thought, well, I've always been a supporter of technology for a long time. AI seems to be a little bit different, but it's not. So I said, I think I can find a way to coexist with AI. So I did some tapping on it, to reduce my fear of AI and see how it could really help me. And so that's when, the idea of, creating a surrogate, something that could be used by my clients during my absence. And I thought, I think this sounds like a really good idea.
Well, I think a lot of people probably still want to know what tapping is, because like a year ago, I mean, okay, so not only did I know about AI a year ago, I didn't know about tapping. And then the two of those things coming together all of a sudden could, I don't know, this could help a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. And so tapping is a form of energy psychology. It's based upon thousands of years of Chinese medicine, very similar to acupuncture. But instead of using needles to press on the various meridians or energy channels of the body, we use the pads of the two fingers to lightly and gently tap on, one of 9 meridians on the face and body. And so the idea is to recognize, what the particular problem is, the elephant in the room, so to speak. And then, let's call that state A. And so the idea is to transform your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions from state A to state B, something more life-giving. And so at the end of the day, it's really about changing your mindset to be able to be open to being open to success, being open to love, being open to, getting over certain addictions like people pleasing or porn, to, other kinds of conditions like alcoholism or drug abuse. Tapping can really help. I learned about it years ago as I was going through my own addiction recovery. And to be honest with you, when I first heard about it and saw it, I thought it looked really silly because it involves tapping on the meridians while, making these statements. And so I really just didn't give it a chance. But when I did, and I saw the truly transformative changes that it made, it allowed me to get out of the bed. It allowed me to double my income. It allowed me to get out of people pleasing and to get into more Gigi pleasing. And so I'm really grateful for it and see how, it's helped my clients. I just heard from one of my clients, she was reminding me how, it saved her life. She's here today because, she was able to, go through the healing and, just do what I say, do the tapping routine. And it's nothing difficult, but it does require focus and attention to, the change that you want to receive. And so a lot of my clients have, a lot of unworthiness and undeservedness issues. And so I love helping them resolve that.
Because it's not just tapping by itself. I mean, it's what you're saying while you're tapping. Like apparently there's some science behind that.
There's tons of research. Yes.
Yeah. So that if you're saying something in the process.
Yes.
Because, going back to what we were talking about before, like this whole transgenerational PTSD thing that I learned about maybe a couple of years ago really changed my belief on a lot of things, so that I think you have to have a program to tap this out of you, like this programming. Like, where are those negative thoughts, beliefs about ourselves? Like, is that really us, or did we inherit this? Is it part of our DNA? Can we become better human beings? Maybe, which is why, like on my website, I call it the Age of Imagination.
Mm.
Now we're only limited by what we can believe because we have the tools that, and so the combination of like AI and the type of therapy that you do could, really radically change people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So do you have, you mentioned this one woman, do you believe like that somebody comes to you with an addiction and they're like in a program, like, You said it worked for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Now, I want to be clear because I don't believe EFT in and of itself will help cure an addiction,
Right, right.
but I believe it is a great supplement to another program, a medically supervised program, or like an AA type of a program. Um, it's a great adjunct to, if you're seeing a therapist already, it will help with PTSD. And the thing I like about EFT, emotional freedom techniques, or tapping, is that you could do it anytime, anywhere. You can do it in public. You can do it, if you get triggered and you're in public or in private, you could probably tap like this on your fingers, discreetly, next to your sides or behind your back. There's a lot of ways you can make that happen. And so the idea is that it gives you an opportunity to transform your limiting thoughts, feelings, and beliefs to something more life-giving. So you're going from state A to state B. So you might be in a state of anxiety, and that anxiety is preventing you from driving safely on the freeway. And so what a lot of people do that have that condition, they'll just avoid the freeways. Well, or you can treat that and heal it, through tapping. And, after a couple of sessions, you'll find that you feel, that one feels calm and relaxed to be able to drive calmly and safely on the freeway.
So how can, like, now that you have this prompt available and you've got, the natural language programming, like the text of it, what are some next steps to getting this out to people?
Some next steps is really making it available, letting them know that, hey, this chat bot is here to support you. It's a tapping with Dr. Gigi Surrogate. It's just like me. It's been programmed essentially to be me. You programmed it essentially to be me, to, respond in the way I would respond, so it doesn't feel like, it's a different response coming out of me versus the bot. And so, the 9 pages of prompt, is about really trying to replicate who I am as best, for the benefit of the client. So in between visits, the client still has support. And it also gives me an opportunity to try off different modalities and to get feedback from those modalities in real time, from the client. And so the clients, love this because they're getting real time response. They can see, okay, this breath work, and this 4-7-8 breathing over here versus this other type of breathing, I feel calmer, with the 4-7-8 breathing. So I'll do that again, if I'm triggered. And so it's a great way for, for feedback, and it gives the clients confidence. They're like, oh, I can do this. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And so I believe, as practitioners, we can serve and support our clients more fully and more comprehensively, with, this type of bot. And so what I've done, in working with Lee is making the Tapping with Dr. Gigi bot available, for other clients, for other therapists and coaches, should they want to use this bot as an aid, as a surrogate to their practice. Or, we can create a done for you bot, create a bot on your behalf, or teach you how to create your own bots. So we're offering a number of, classes to teach you how to do it. It's really fun and interesting.
Yeah, I can't even tell you how many opportunities this opens up for everybody, because, I want people to know that this service is not just for, people in the helping professions. But for example, like if you had a book or a thesis paper or whatever it is, a website, you can create this kind of chatbot or whatever you want to call it, this surrogate to respond to questions about your book. Like, I thought about putting this one out there the other day, that if anyone wants to know about me, I would train it on my resume, my CV. Like, don't ask me, like, you can interview me before you interview me. Read through it.
That's a great idea.
No, seriously, like, here is my 6-page CV. And rather than me like having to shape it every time to fit your, because like you send out all kinds of variations of yourself to people all the time. Like, we're all doing it. But why not just have a website? People go there and ask your bot, about the person before you meet the person. Now you really know who they are.
Get like a pre-meeting.
Yeah, it's the meeting before the meeting, because everyone does this. Everyone's been looking each other up now for the last, like, I have a meeting with so and so. Let's do a little research on this person first. At first it was weird, like, you didn't, like, should I be looking them up? Like, do they care? And now it's just kind of a given. You do that, you go to all their social media sites. Well, now, like, what if you had a document that I put together for them or something? Here's your 10 pages condensed into, like, I took the body of everything that you are digitally, and I got it down to like a page, and then the bot reads that and it answers people's questions about you.
Everything into a page.
Well, that's probably a little bit too slim for some people. But like, even Claude, for example, I loaded that 9 pages in there because ChatGPT would not read the whole thing.
Yes.
So I had Claude reduce that so that ChatGPT could read it.
Yes.
And I almost want to say, no disrespect to you, ChatGPT. I still love you. It's like, it's weird. Like, I don't want to disrespect you, but Claude, did better on this, but someday, you'll be the same. And like, it gets kind of weird like that, but it's all possible, and, I'm just thinking your position's not going to get replaced. The podcast I was watching yesterday said your job's not going to be replaced.
Yes.
But your job might be replaced by a person who knows your job and knows how to use AI. Because that person is worth 10 people now all of a sudden. So everyone's got to get up to speed. I mean, it's just that simple. Everyone's got to get up to speed on this.
I agree. And one of the things I'm excited about our collaboration is really the tapping and technology aspect. We both understand that, as we understand technology more and get more comfortable and allow our fears to be released, it requires a mindset shift. And that's where the tapping comes in, to help with the mindset shift. The mindset shift to not only be able to release and create new, neural pathways in the brain to allow for new behaviors, but the idea is to allow for more success in your life, allow for more wealth in your life, because often, we have these unconscious currents that run in our life that create these set points. So, we've got these set points for what we allow ourselves to receive. And so if we want to receive more, EFT tapping is a great way to transform and change, our state A, which might be, $5,000 a month to $15,000 a month. It's just that it's a mindset change. And, these mindset changes are necessary, when dealing with new technology, new trends, and even new business models. So we invite you to take a look at our packaging, because we'll help to craft your technology, but also your mindset to go along with the success that you really wish to achieve.
Yeah, as you were saying that, I thought of one thing in particular that you can do, or that you're going to learn by doing this.
Yes.
Is it becomes a model for, now wait a minute, if I can write up a prompt for this AI to do something, I can also kind of write a prompt for myself. You can prompt yourself, like, I want you to be in the role, because a lot of times it's called meta prompting, I believe, where you create the role. Like, I want you to be in the role of the author or psychologist or whatever. It'll take on that role. Or I want you to write this, rap like Shakespeare would say it, or something. Like, you put it into a role. You can put yourself into a role. You can prompt yourself to achieve or understand something. It's kind of like, once you finally set a goal, your
Yeah.
mind, your whole being kind of changes. Like, oh, now we have a goal. We have something we're going towards, as opposed to walking around like, I don't even know what I do in between goals.
Yes.
Well, now,
Yeah.
so you're going to learn that. And it's also, from an educational point of view, like, if you're talking to this thing that has the body of all human knowledge, and you're down here, it's going to bring you up. The better the questions, the more you can elevate yourself. And this person I met back in 2015 was calling that intelligence augmentation.
Okay.
That you can, this is going to be a great way to increase your knowledge. I mean, to increase your intelligence level.
I agree. I agree. And, one of the things I want to show is, I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
And so, we want to, just kind of talk about some best practices for modern times, and creation of the digital surrogate for yourself, for your clients in between sessions. And so that's what we've been talking about, using AI to create ways for your clients to have enhanced or improved services. And in doing so, you can increase your bottom line, meaning you can charge, for this bot. So for example, if you're charging $300.50 per month on your visits, you can easily charge an additional $200 to $400 per month on a bot, depending on how often, people might access it and how they might use it. And so, that's just a great way to, again, allow your client base to get better services and for you to increase your bottom line.
Do you want to put that in full screen mode so people can see it better, or? Okay. Or maybe that's too big of a screen. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it anymore.
You don't see it anymore?
No. There it is. That's fine.
Yeah, sorry about that. We're just having a little bit of screen issue here. And so within serendipity,
So what, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to ask what people are going to learn from coming to like a workshop like this.
Yes. Well, actually, I was gonna get to that. One of the things that you'll get from, this particular, opportunity are, getting differing views, understanding today's differing viewpoints among, the helping professionals, and why it's important that they understand. And really the stakes are high. Depending on who you talk to, folks are saying, if you don't get in on AI now, you can just wrap it up. This is also about professional development. Those of us coaches and therapists that really want to provide, the highest level of service and support to our clients, we're always looking for ways that's new and different to serve and support our customers. And emotions and money, this AI, this kind of topic is really, wrapping people, up. They either love it or they hate it. And so we're really just trying to, help people understand it and how they can work with AI for their own good, for their own highest good.
Yeah, it's going to take a while for people to wrap their minds around what's happening, and
Yes.
they could get lost in the process. They're going to need some guidance, is how I'm understanding you.
Yes.
And the thing is, the guidance isn't just tech training. It's kind of like emotional and psychological training. Like, what kinds of things, what is this making you feel while you're going through this process?
Yeah, those emotions. And so
Yeah.
that's where tapping comes in, because often, when our emotions start coming into play, we start moving into a very subconscious state, doing things we're really not aware of, really going back to our animal state, because we are creatures of our emotion. And so that's where we come in. That's where our team comes in, and we provide 5-point training in the area of coaching, EFT training, one-on-one coaching, online workshops. And these workshops will teach you how, what prompt engineering is, what AI is, how to do it, and also the various use cases. So once you understand it, great. But now, how can I really leverage that and apply that and build upon that and make money with that?
Well, that's why I think, there's this misperception that like, oh, this person, they just work in this kind of niche or niche, whatever you call it. They're in psychology. This is just AI in psychology, or this is a person who does like AI and software development. I'm trying to let people know that it's all like interconnected. So that if you're learning like how your mind works and how your body works and how AI works, that's probably going to help you in a lot of professions.
Absolutely.
It's going to help you as a teacher. It might help you as a CFO, a CEO, to just wrap your mind around like learning how to be curious, and how to ask the right questions, how to create a prompt can help you in any profession.
Yes. And one of the things I'd like to spend a little bit of time on, Lee, is that concept of curiosity, because you've said that a couple of times, being curious. And so that's a skill, not everybody has, being curious, applying creativity. And so there again, that's another area where EFT tapping can help, transform someone with a state of, not really having curiosity to being, uber curious and feeling confident about that. That's a
Yeah, I
behavior
think the
state.
whole world can start transforming with this, and at the risk of, delving into international politics for a second. But when I was teaching over in China, I mean, I just have to say this. So I was trying to bring some of that curiosity and independent thinking to some of their students when I was teaching over there. And it wasn't met with like a really great reception, because I think historically they haven't taught that way. It's all been, here's your job as a student, learn this information, give it back to us on this test, master this, and move on to your profession, right? Well, I was making the argument, how is that going to help you when you form your own business? You're going to have to be curious about how things could be better, like how to make changes when things don't work. Even learning emotionally, like how to fail rapidly, like, which is what they teach in Silicon Valley a lot, is like fail quickly, fail rapidly,
Fail forward. Yeah.
fail. And finally you'll pivot into the thing you're supposed to be doing. Well, that's a new concept for people in different parts of the world. And I think the combination you're talking about, which is you have to prepare people psychologically, which may involve, some tapping procedures. And because it starts with, even though I may be, fearful of this change, right?
Yes. Even though I might be fearful of change or fearful of AI, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And I believe my love and focus can help change things. And I'm ready to see things in a different and a new way. I believe that I can see things and I can experience something that is for my highest and best. And I believe I'm worthy and deserving of that. dot, dot, dot. It can, you know, continue to go, but you're essentially saying, hey, I'm feeling in this way, and I don't want to stay there, and I want to change to this state.
Well, think about that for a second. This is, and I'm not trying to get all, what's the word for that, metaphysical or anything, but you're prompting yourself. You really are. You're writing a script because you've got like a different script running for yourself, and it may
Yes.
not be the right one, and it may be causing harm.
Yes.
And you're really like, you're a prompt engineer. Like we're just now discovering this, but really that's what you're doing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
You're
Yeah.
writing, you're helping people write a script. We're learning, see, we're already learning from the AI, like, hey, if it works for them, shouldn't that also work for us?
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, that is why we have our own Tapping with Dr. Gigi Surrogate for sale to other coaches and therapists, because, you know, not everybody has, you know, the way we do it, you know, the way we're able to get such quick results. So you can allow your customers to use my surrogate, you know, in between visits to really up level, you know, your own therapy and coaching sessions. So that's a great way. And so in addition to using the Tapping with Dr. Gigi Surrogate, we also offer the ability to create your own surrogate. And so as Lee was saying, we can do it for you, or we can teach you how to do that. And so we have some unique opportunities. Now, certainly in the link below, there are some links that you can sign up for some of our services. If you're interested in a surrogate setup or prompt engineering, you know, we're taking, you know, some new calls early next week. But Lee, can you give us an idea of what these online workshops look like, and, you know, how people would enjoy this class and how they might benefit?
Yeah, well, when I've got like in another episode or whatever, I want to run people through some screen sharing myself and show them how these prompts are working, that we're not just making this stuff up, but I want to show you in real time how they work. I'm afraid if I did it now, like I'd have too many tabs open on my computer, and there'd be like, because I'm working on a lot of these. There's
Got
like
it.
10 of these that I'm working on, and I won't be able to choose. But you asked about the work, like what I would be teaching in the workshop.
Yes, the online workshops. So we're looking to, you know, teach practitioners, coaches and therapists, you know, how, you know, what prompt engineering is all about. You know, if they choose to want to learn how to do it, you're going to teach them how to be curious.
Yeah, well, if you want to drop the screen share, I will speak directly to the public at large.
Absolutely.
If that's it, in fact,
All good.
if that's what we're doing here. But,
Yes.
So one of the things I will be presenting is kind of like this paradigm shift, this mind shift, whatever you want to call it, global shift that we're going through, and let people know that, you know, if you're a generalist, if you are someone with a lot of different interests, like you might be run a startup company, but let's say you're you ride bicycle on the weekends, you do yoga. I don't know what people are doing. You have a lot of different interests, hunting, fishing, whatever. I'm telling people that you can now bring all this together into, like, you have the qualifications to do prompt engineering. You know, that it's not, I don't think it's the age of the specialist anymore that we're going into. I think, like, if you're a specialist, okay, we're going to broaden what you're doing so that you know how to use this. Like if you're a software engineer, you've got to learn this new type of language. You know, for example, now, like, I think you go to this thing called Autopilot on GitHub, and now you can generate code without having to really be a code writer. So now, like, natural language programming means you can also create code to build your own site, build your own app, build your bot, whatever you need to do. So I'm trying to bring in people who if you have a great imagination and great curiosity, you are needed right now,
Yeah.
to,
The creatives, the empaths,
yeah. I mean, believe me, I
the
want to work with,
storytellers.
right. I'd love to work with all types, but I especially want to empower this group because I feel like, to your point about money and emotion and all that stuff, they've thought, well, I'm an artist, but I'm always down here and I'm not, I play the oboe in a symphony or something, and I'm supposed to make this amount of money. Well, now I'm telling you, if you have a great imagination, like let's say you're a writer, we need you to imagine like this prompt that's going to save this country from demise or something, because you can write a prompt to like, how do I end the war in this country? And you might get some ideas you haven't heard from human beings because it's going to assemble all the information from millions of human beings and put that together in an answer for you. I'm just using that as one thing that's out there. And yes, there's going to be bad actors out there doing like, how can I make $1 million in 3 months? And they're going to be deploying all kinds of those things. But, I'd love to train people on how they can write, games for their classroom or for their company. I wrote one, I'm working on a creativity, like not standardized test, but a creativity test so that people who are creatives can take this test and think, wow, I scored really high on that test. Like a traditional IQ test, maybe not so high.
Right.
Or EQ, maybe not too high, but like, and then they would find out just how brilliant they really are.
See, I think we need that because, for such a long time, intelligence has been weighted in a certain way. And so I think we need to have some other opportunities to see how intelligence can be measured and evaluated.
Right. I've got this one prompt, for example, for my educational game that divides history, all of recorded history, into 20 sections of time, 7 areas of knowledge, 400 questions for a game that teaches students everything about world history. Then the students can use AI, to create some of their own questions, to create variations of that game. So there's solutions out there for teachers, for, people running big corporations. It really doesn't matter. I would love to have a workshop where people across the board, a plumber, an engineer, an artist, a mother, because we're all going to be learning the same thing.
I love that. And I love how, you've also talked about, how to gamify and how to make it fun. And so I'm really excited that on future episodes, we'll be showing, our audience, how this is working in real time. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. And I would love to get feedback from anybody watching this. Let us know if this is helpful. I hope that it is. I feel this kind of imperative. What's the word for it? I don't even know. Like that. It's like we need to let people know about like all the possibilities.
Yes. Yeah.
And to make people feel more positive about their future. Like that,
yes.
There's some solutions that are seriously right in front of you now on your phone or your computer, that you don't have to read all the negative stuff every day.
Yes.
There's some good news ahead.
Yeah, this is exciting. I just want to say thank you. This has been great, and we're going to provide all of the relevant information in the links below. So thank you all for joining us. Provide us questions, comments in the comment section, and give us your feedback. We're really interested in hearing all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.